There are so many things.
I wish I'd had somebody to show me hands-on, you know.
I think that it is super important to figure out who you're going to learn stuff from. So to identify your mentors. That's actually, and I've realized as I talk to more people in the community that they really do that really consciously. And I think that's really smart, is when they need to learn something new, they're immediately not just thinking about where am I going to find some information online about this? They're thinking, who is it around me that knows about this that I can ask either for training directly or just for advice about where to go?
I should have committed myself from the beginning. I think I've taken breaks over time and not really given it my all. And lately I've been giving it my all and finding a lot more success in it. So I guess just artistically to keep at it every day. And don't sell yourself short. That's my lesson. Yeah, no, I've put it aside as though it's just a hobby. Yeah, making artwork and done it as when I've found time, apart from whatever job I've had or apart from whatever else I've you know, I guess my social life or whatever. And so it's just something that's always on the back burner that's my lowest priority, and that's ridiculous. It should be my highest priority. And if I put as much effort into it as I had my jobs or whatever else I've done, I think I would have been a lot further ahead at this point.
Yeah, I haven't found my little niche that, you know, maybe a whole bunch of people really like. I've always kind of catered to like a whole bunch of random people here and there. So maybe it's just ultimately like it'd be nice to find that little niche that maybe people would like. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's big.
I wish I realized I could make my own stuff a lot sooner. I always, you know, was fine to buy stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that, and I didn't really think that I could actually learn how to do stuff like that. I mean, certainly technology and internet access and all those things have made everything much more accessible, but I've never been afraid to take something apart. I just never know how to put something back together. So certainly being able to understand that you can do that and don't be afraid to make mistakes is definitely something, because quite often the mistakes are where the good stuff comes from.
Make sure everything's plugged in the right way. Because sometimes your whole project is ruined if you do it wrong.
The best way of learning stuff is to just do it. And like, even though you know nothing at all, if you just go with it, you'll eventually figure out how it works.
That's where the internet comes in.
No, my philosophy is still the same. Just keep learning. Everything will become usable at some point. Anything you learn, you'll get to use. And I've always liked learning, and I've always liked learning different things from the point of view that no matter how different it is, it all seems to fit into whatever else you've learned.
The thing I wish I knew earlier was to not be apprehensive about my goals, to be really direct about why I'm doing it and what is the big picture, the big vision. It's really easy to get caught up and focus on the deliverables or the small things you're doing right now, but you want to inspire people, you want to make people care, and the best way to do that is to let them see what you're thinking and, you know, what is your long-term vision.
Turn off your TV and just go do it already. That's about the best I got.
I think something that you said earlier, Soph, just start doing stuff and just throw yourself into it, and
just experience and go. If you like it, just try it. You'll never know unless you try it.
Well, the normal way of growing is obviously in soil. I would have probably started growing in soil before venturing into anything different, instead of trying the difficult first and finding, hey, soil looks a lot simpler.
But I've been pretty much trying to promote my ideas since graduation, pretty much.
I don't think you actually have enough tape for me to go over how many things I wish I knew now.
Is there one
which I knew then that I know now? One specific thing? I think the biggest impact on me moving forward has been the help that others provide me. So knowing now who's out there and the connections I've made over the years, I wish I'd known about them years ago. Because, you know, to answer, you know, many questions, help from others is the number one thing for me that has pushed me forward.
I wish I knew back when I was younger that making mistakes is okay. It's never a sign of failure. It just means that you didn't do it the way you thought you were supposed to, and there's more of the puzzle that's left to figure out. And I think now that I'm a bit older and have been doing this for a while, making mistakes is part of the fun. So mistakes are good.
Mistakes are good. Learn by trial and error.
That's right.
See, I think I would like to say that don't limit myself to one specific thing, because I've just from this last few years, I've just picked up so many different skills that starting off I was really nervous about, I thought, I can't do electronics that well, so instead I'm going to be working with needle and thread, and after I got really into electronics, I said, I forgot that much about sewing, so maybe I should just focus on this domain. But I think what I really love is I love combining different styles or different styles and different ways of making things into a brand new thing that people haven't seen before. So that's what I would say to myself.
Just to let you know.
Oh my God, just go for it. Okay, if there's one thing to tell you if you're watching us, just go for it. Because whatever makes you happy, you should follow your dreams. And that could be as crazy as skydiving or writing your name in the sky or scuba diving or biologist. It doesn't matter. Go for what your dreams are, because there are people. Don't worry about the money. The parents will hate us. Okay, tell your parents to la 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 la, because it doesn't matter. If you're happy, things will come to you. And my husband and I have learned that tenfold. 7 years ago, we were like, what are we doing? And now we couldn't be happier, although it is a lot of work.
The main goal of learning the basics, like the basic rules and techniques, is so then you know how to break them better. So learn them so that you know why they're done, and then if you want to do something different, that's totally awesome, and that's the best way to do it. But then you know at least why they were intended to be that way and what the result will be. Because you can change things up and make an amazing quilt, but if you forget to do something like making sure you have proper seam allowances, which is a rule, then it won't hold up over time. So there's good rules and there's bad ones, and don't get hung up on them, but learn them so that you know what to break and what not to.
And my piece of advice would be just jump in and try it. Get some fabric that you love and start cutting it up and sewing bits of it together and have fun. And come to a meeting of the Modern Quilt Guild, because they give you lots of ideas. They're sharing, everybody show and share, shows their quilts and oohs and ahs over each other's work, and you get lots of ideas and inspiration. Yeah.
How big of a deal computers were going to be. I was always a musician, and I consider myself to always will be. But it wasn't until like over a decade later when I realized that computers are going to make a big impact in the music industry.
I should have taken more courses, I think. It's taken me longer to get to the point where I am now, just by practicing and reading up and so on. I should have taken more courses. So I think that's something that I'm also telling people that want to get into this, that you should start with talking at least to fellow flame workers and glass people and start taking courses right away.
No, I always knew everything. There was never any question about total knowledge.
No. No, I know that I know a lot now that I did not know when I first started designing and making steampunk stuff. And it's like, wonder how you do this. It'll come up. And then now I look back and go, hey, I actually know the answer to that question now. So it's sort of like sort of that question is really the opposite.
Lego's expensive, and it is like a case of hoarders. Like, you just keep buying Lego, but it's good because you can do stuff with it, right? It's not like you're just sitting watching TV or you're gonna buy something and never use it. Like, all the Lego that I buy, I use it, right? And I use it to build all sorts of crazy things and contraptions.
It's a long process. It's a very long process, and to make connections as much as you can.
No. I think the process of exploring all the medium is the most what I enjoy. So whatever I start with, even if it's success or not success, I still enjoy it. Because you learn something out of always experimenting. If you're going to continue with that, it doesn't matter. So for me, it's just fun experimenting, exploring. If I move forward with that technique or the other technique, I don't really mind.
It's like every day it builds on top of something else I learned yesterday, right? And after 30 years, I mean, on a daily basis, I'm still learning new stuff, right? So that's like, it's kind of hard to say, right? Because you just can't. You have to start with Dick and Jane books before you move up to, you know, Tom Sawyer to whatever you're reading now. I don't know.
I wish I'd known how little sleep I would get and how many extra hours I would have to give to this.
I wish I knew that all the animals have a slightly different connector, because when we actually tried to move from one test unit to another, because we got a different brand, we found out, oh, how are we going to connect this now?
All of it. No, I mean, I was really lucky because my grandfather got me started making it at an early age, so.
I guess I would say be bold and jump right in. Everything that I know now, I suppose I learned by making a lot of mistakes, and I used to be sort of a perfectionist, and now I just try to screw up as much as possible, as soon as possible, so that I can learn from them.
Always work with one hand, on high voltage.
That having a successful business is discovering that what you have is something that people want. And I'm discovering, as I always do, that I'm a little ahead of the curve because people aren't quite ready for spending money on planter systems.
It takes a lot of equipment and it's very heavy, so it just moving it around, transporting it is always a chore. So sometimes I wish I worked with lighter material. So
I think I wish that I had known that I needed to consider what my teacher said, but not take it to heart too much, and stay true to myself and to what I know works for me. And also that your interest in art, once you're doing it professionally, will change. So, sometimes you'll be interested in it, sometimes you won't really have any ideas and it'll be frustrating. And, when I was a child and I made art, I just kind of did whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and there was not really any sort of structure, and so I didn't really think about that or worry about it. And as an adult, I've worried, like, I used to be so into art and I'd always be doing art, and there are times as an adult where I just don't want to make that much art. And I used to worry about it, but now I realize that's just part of the process. You have to sort of come away from it so that when you go back, you're more interested and you're more invigorated, and what you make is going to be better as a result of taking a break sometimes.
I wish that in art school they had taught us about art collectives and how to manage groups of people and how to advertise and how to organize group shows, because all that stuff is the most important, like having a community, having people to sort of, when you're working on your projects, their projects are going, so you can support them, and through that, then you're also a part of what they're doing. And then so it's kind of cross-promoting yourself even when you're not actively showing something. And then when you're showing something, they show up to your show and their friends show up. And so, we've heard about these art collectives, but we never really understood how they functioned and the different models that they had. Like, I know Hackspace has a duocracy, which means you pretty much don't have to ask anyone, you just do it, and if people complain enough, then you take it apart, whatever you did. Like, if you built a wall, everyone hates it, okay, take it down. But well, for the most part, someone just needs to do something, and if you ask permission, everyone's going to say no. Usually for no reason. Which is like, I like that model.
It's been a very interesting and challenging thing for me because I'm my age. I've never been involved intimately with computers. I've used them as they have been used by most people for a long time. That's not the same as going into firmware and changing firmware and finding out what it. And I'm learning that, but. My son expresses it as dragging me, kicking and screaming through the knowledge base, which is fine. like that's fair.
I guess that would be to study part of your market just a little bit more carefully, because I found out that the educational market is a lot more price sensitive than I anticipated, and that a lot of schools would rather have products with far fewer capabilities and features as long as it met their lower price points than better products if they cost more. So basically, know your market very, very well.
No, because then I might not have put it in the crazy hours that I did. I've learned so much on it. The entire experience has been brilliant.
One thing I wish I'd known is that mistakes are totally okay. It's part of the learning process.
Nice.
Very important part.
Well, everybody makes mistakes. I mean, everybody tries to learn from their mistakes, and I've made multi-million-dollar mistakes in my investment strategies in the past and stuff like this. Well, so you make mistakes. So what? You get up in the morning, you try and move on and figure out what went wrong. I mean, if I was really interested in making money, I could, do financial planning and do all kinds of business strategies about making money. But I'm not crazy about making money. Money would be nice if I could sell art more regularly, I guess. But there you go. I mean, but if you just get focused on just making money, then it becomes a business again. So it becomes a rat race.
That things take a lot of time. I guess I knew that before. That things don't always work out quite the way you expected them to, but that's all part of the process, and it's always awesome.